This training video covers inspection of the assembly of high mast poles. It will assist the TxDOT inspector while inspecting the following parts of a high mast pole during assembly: the amount of overlap and rotational alignment of each pole section, the light fixture ring before the fixtures are attached, the stabilizer arm assembly, the wire ropes and cable clamps, the cable attachment plate for proper assembly and connection of the wire ropes, and the power cord and its connectors. The high mast pole is a complex electromechanical structure. Every part performs an important function. If any part is left off or installed improperly, the high mast pole will not perform as designed. The inspection of a high mast pole begins long before it reaches the job site. High mast poles, rings, and support arms must be fabricated at an approved fabrication plant. The fabricator will mark each component with an inked stamp. Approved fabricators for high mast poles are listed on the MPL for high mast pole fabrication plants. The MPL also shows the approval stamps for each fabricator. Approved fabricators for high mast rings and support arms are listed on the MPL for high mast ring and support assembly fabrication plants. The MPL also shows the approval stamps for each fabricator. Now, let's look at the HMIP2 standard sheet. HMIP2 lists the required amount of overlap at each pole section, based on the height and wind speed design of the pole. The amount of overlap is critical to the structural strength of the high mast pole. During assembly of the pole, the inspector must confirm that each section has been pulled together with a minimum amount of overlap. This task must be done before the pole is stood up and secured to the foundation. The contractor will use permanent ink to mark the pole with the minimum amount of overlap on the male end of each pole section. The inspector will need to confirm that these markings are correct. The inspector will inspect each pole section as it is assembled to confirm proper alignment. The pole sides and corners need to be perfectly aligned to get the needed overlap. During assembly of the pole sections, the winch access hole must be positioned upward as each section is pulled together. In the TxDOT Standard Specifications book, under Item 613, High Mast Illumination Poles, Section 3.4.2, Pole Assembly, we read the requirement that splices be assembled to a minimum of 90% or a maximum of 110% of the planned lap. The free end of the pole section being assembled must be supported by a crane or some other type of hoist equipment. All construction equipment, including cranes, should be inspected periodically by the contractor to ensure that they can be operated safely. The contractor must safely support and block the pole sections during assembly and while waiting for further progress of the work. TxDOT construction sites may have unauthorized persons on them at night or on weekends and holidays. The pole or pole sections must be properly supported to always ensure safety. To prevent injuries, the inspector and the contractor must confirm that pole sections on slopes or on supports cannot be moved and that all materials are safely stored on the project site. As each pole section is added, the height of the pole supporting materials increases. This is necessary so the assembled ring and support arms can be attached to the upper end of the pole. The sequence of work activities is determined by the contractor. Some install the ring and follow with the stabilizer arm. Others fit the ring and stabilizer arms as a mated assembly, as shown in this video. The crane will lift the ring assembly with the terminal box at the 12 o'clock position. This is necessary to make the ring and support arm line up properly with the rest of the pole. The contractor will lift the assembly up and position it near the end of the pole. This places the winch access hole the ring's terminal box, and the power cord pulley, all in the 12 o'clock position. These are all on the reference line as shown on HMID 1. When the pole is erected, the reference line must be parallel with the roadway. This will ensure alignment of the equipment for good operation and proper aiming of luminaires for illumination of the roadway. The inspector should confirm that the proper torque has been applied to the arm-to-pole fasteners. This must be done while the pole is on the ground, as the bolts are not accessible after the pole has been raised. The inspector should inspect the power cord to confirm that it matches the electric power cable specified in DMS 11021 High Mast Illumination Assembly Kits, Section 7.3, Electrical Power Cable. Power cord material that complies with the plan specifications will have the words 8 AWG Type W imprinted on the outer jacket. DMS 11021 High Mast Illumination Assembly Kits, Section 7.6, Wire Rope and Terminals, requires the 3 wire ropes that support the ring have a diameter of 5/16 of an inch with a stranding of 7 × 19. The single wire rope on the winch is specified to be 3/8 inch diameter with a stranding of 19 × 7. All wire ropes are stainless steel. The inspector should confirm the wire ropes have no kinks, sharp bends, or broken strands. If even one strand is broken, the inspector must reject the entire wire rope. The wire rope terminals slide freely through the spring plate, and each is supported by a spring held with 2 nuts and a cotter pin. When the other end of the wire ropes is connected to the ring, compression of the springs will provide the necessary slack. This arrangement allows the ring to fit snugly at the top of the pole, even if the wire rope lengths are slightly different. The power cord is also fed through the spring plate and is held in place with a cord connector. The power cord is supported by a wire mesh cable grip attached to the thimble nut at the top of the spring plate. When the ring is lowered, this cable grip will support the whole weight of the cable as it travels over the pulley to the ring. A male pin and sleeve connector is connected to the 24-inch length of cable that hangs below the spring plate. When the ring is raised to its top position, the pin and sleeve connector will be attached to the power cable connector in the bottom of the pole to supply power to the lights. The winch cable typically comes wrapped around the winch drum. This can be unwound and pulled with a pull rope to the top of the pole as the power drive assembly turns the winch drum. At the top of the pole, this wire rope is connected to the bottom of the spring plate and held with the thimble eye nut, a hex nut, and cotter pin. Once connected, the entire spring plate assembly can be pulled to the bottom of the pole with the power drive assembly turning the winch. TxDOT Standard HMID 7, Section 5, B, Wire Rope Installation. Note number 4 reads, Install all wire rope only under direct supervision of the engineer or his authorized representative. Do not remove wire rope from the manufacturer's reel until authorized by the engineer. The inspector should confirm that all of the stainless steel cotter pins have been properly installed and that the pulley covers and their retaining bolts are properly reinstalled. Standard sheet HMID 3, detail K, shows how the 3 wire ropes connect to the ring. As each end of the 3 wire ropes exits the top of the pole, the contractor will thread each of the cables onto the pulleys in the support arms, pulling them down to one of 3 pins on the outside part of the ring. The pin will be removed, a loop will be formed in the rope, and a thimble will be inserted in the loop. The pin is then inserted into its bracket and held with a stainless steel cotter pin. The cotter pin is then flared to keep it in place. Each wire rope is now secured with 2 cable clamps. The clamps are initially tightened wrench tight, and then a torque wrench set at 30 foot-pounds is used to further tighten the clamps. The two nuts on each clamp should be tightened alternately until the correct torque is reached. The inspector should confirm that the amount of threads visible above each nut is about the same on both sides of the clamp. This helps exert even pressure on the wire rope as it is held in place. After final erection and assembly of the high mast pole, HMID 7 requires the contractor to retighten all the wire rope clamp nuts and verify 30 foot-pounds of torque. Some settling of the clamps and cables is common and should not be a cause for concern. However, excessive loosening of these clamps should be investigated to determine the cause. During final acceptance of the project, the contractor should confirm for the engineer that all cable clamps are tight with the torque brought up to the specified 30 foot-pounds. HMID 3 requires leaving 2 extra feet of wire rope past the clamps. The excess wire rope should be coiled and attached to the ring with stainless steel bands. Standard sheet HMID 1, section DD, shows a wire mesh cable grip, heat shrink tubing, and how they are installed on the upper end of the power cord. The contractor will slide the cable grip over the power cable and heat shrink tubing over the length of the cable grip. The heat shrink material should cover the length of the cable grip to hold it in place. The contractor will then shrink the tubing with a heat gun, locking it into final position. A 50-amp, 2-pole, 3-wire twist-lock cord connector is installed at the top of the power cable. This connector will attach to the flanged inlet in the terminal box on the ring to supply power to the lights on the ring. The connector is specified in DMS 11021 High Mast Illumination Assembly Kits. Lightning protection knots are tied in the upper and lower ends of the power cord. The knot should be no smaller than about 4 to 6 inches. If the knot is too tight, it could damage the cable jacket or the conductors inside. This training video gives an overview, but does not cover everything one needs to know about assembling a high mast pole. Additional items will also need to be inspected. Many of these items are covered by other electrical training videos in this series. These videos should be considered as guides only. They are not a replacement for good judgment or field experience that has been gained over many years.